The fitting room at Maison de Blanc was bathed in soft, golden light. Cachera stood on a small platform, surrounded by mirrors that reflected her image from every angle. The wedding dress was exquisite, hand-sewn Italian lace, delicate beading that caught the light, a silhouette that made her look like royalty. Her mother would have cried seeing her like this, but her mother was back in Chicago, and Cachera was alone in Seoul, building a life with a man she thought she knew. Brandon Hayes, American, handsome, senior marketing director at Hanul Corporation, one of the largest conglomerates in South Korea. They had met 2 years ago at a business conference in Singapore. He had been charming, persistent, and everything Celine thought she wanted. 6 months later, she moved to Seoul to be with him. Now, she was 3 days away from becoming Mrs. Brandon Hayes, or so she thought. Her phone buzzed on the velvet chair beside her. Celine glanced at the screen. A notification from a social media app she rarely used. Normally, she would have ignored it. But something made her reach for it. The message was from an account with no profile picture, just a string of numbers as a username. She opened it. Inside, there were photographs. The first photo showed Brandon, her Brandon, sitting at a restaurant. Across from him was a woman, Korean, beautiful, young. His hand was covering hers on the table. Celine's grip tightened on the phone. She swiped to the next image, the same woman. But this time, the photo was different. She was standing sideways, her hand resting on her stomach. A stomach that was visibly, unmistakably rounded, pregnant. The final image was a screenshot of a text conversation. Brandon's name was at the top. The messages read, "I'll tell her after the wedding. I promise. She doesn't need to know about the baby yet. Just trust me. I'll handle Cachera. Handle her like she was a problem to be managed, like she was an obstacle, not a partner." Cachera stared at the screen for a long moment. The seamstress was saying something behind her, asking about the hemline. But the words sounded distant, muffled, like they were coming from underwater. 3 days before her wedding. 3 days. And this was how she found out. Not from him, not face to face, but from a stranger, sending proof of his betrayal, like a gift wrapped in cruelty. Slowly, Cachera lowered the phone. She looked at herself in the mirror. The dress was still beautiful. She was still beautiful. And in that moment, she thought about crying. She thought about screaming. She thought about calling Brandon and demanding answers. But then she imagined his face, his excuses, his lies. And she realized she didn't want to hear any of it. She was done. "Miss Whitmore?" The seamstress's voice finally broke through. "Is everything all right? You look pale." Cachera turned slowly. Her expression was calm. Too calm. "Everything is fine," she said. Her voice was steady. "But I won't be needing this dress anymore." The seamstress blinked in confusion. I'm sorry?" Cachera stepped down from the platform. "The wedding is canceled." She didn't wait for a response. She walked into the changing room, removed the gown with careful precision, and put on her own clothes. Black pants, white silk blouse, red-soled heels that clicked against the marble floor. When she emerged, the seamstress was still standing there, frozen. Cachera handed her a card. "Send the bill to this address," she said, "and keep the dress. Sell it, donate it, I don't care." Then she walked out of the boutique and into the cold Seoul evening. Her phone buzzed again. This time, it was Brandon. "Hey babe, running late at the office. At dinner at 8?" Cachera read the message. She didn't respond. Instead, she blocked his number. Then she blocked him on every platform, every app, every possible way he could reach her. She erased him, the way he should have been honest with her from the start. But she wasn't done. Oh no, Cachera Whitmore was just getting started. She had spent 2 years building a life around Brandon Hayes, 2 years learning Korean, 2 years navigating a culture that often made her feel like an outsider, 2 years proving herself at the boutique consulting firm where she worked. And now? Now she had nothing to show for it. No fiancé, no wedding, no future she had planned. But Kashara had something else, something Brandon had clearly forgotten. She had her pride, her intelligence, her ambition, and she had absolutely no intention of leaving Seoul with her tail between her legs. The next morning, Kashara woke up early. She had barely slept, not because she was crying, but because she was planning. She checked her email and found 17 messages from Brandon, all sent from his work email since she had blocked his phone. The subject lines ranged from, "What's going on?" to, "Please answer me," to, "We need to talk." She deleted them all without reading. Then she opened her laptop and began researching. If she was going to rebuild her life in Seoul, she needed leverage. She needed connections. She needed an opportunity. That opportunity came faster than she expected. At exactly 9 o'clock, her phone rang. It was her boss, Mr. David Kim, the founder of the small consulting firm where she worked. "Kashara," he said. His voice was unusually tense. "I need you to come into the office immediately." She frowned. "Is something wrong?" "We have a new client," he said. "A very, very important new client. And they specifically requested you." Kashara's frown deepened. "Requested me? Who is it?" There was a long pause. "Hanul Corporation." Kashara felt her stomach drop. Hanul Corporation, Brandon's company, the massive conglomerate that controlled everything from electronics to entertainment to real estate. Why would they request her? "There must be some mistake," she said. "I've never worked with anyone from Hanul directly." "There's no mistake," Mr. Kim replied. "The request came from the top. From the CEO himself. It's the CEO of Hanul Corporation, Shin Tae-jun. Everyone in Seoul knew that name. He was a legend, 34 years old, inherited the company from his late father at 27, doubled its value in 5 years. He was ruthless, brilliant, and notoriously private. "I'll be there in 30 minutes, she said. She hung up before Mr. Kim could respond. The Hanul Corporation headquarters was a tower of black glass and steel in the heart of Gangnam. It rose 70 stories into the sky, a monument to power and precision. Kashara had seen it many times, but she had never been inside. Today, that changed. The lobby was enormous, white marble floors, minimalist design, employees moved with quiet efficiency, like parts of a well-oiled machine. Kashara approached the reception desk. "I'm here for a meeting with—" She hesitated. "With CEO Shin Tae-jun." The receptionist looked up. For a moment, something flickered in her eyes. Surprise, maybe, or curiosity. "Your name?" "Kashara Whitmore." The receptionist typed quickly, then nodded. "You're expected. Please take the private elevator to the 70th floor. Someone will meet you there." The private elevator, the 70th floor. This was really happening. Kashara stepped into the elevator. The doors closed silently. She caught her reflection in the polished metal walls. She looked composed, professional, but inside, her heart was racing. Why did the CEO of Hanul Corporation want to see her? What did he know? What did he want? The elevator climbed, and climbed, and climbed. 70 floors. It felt like an eternity. Finally, the doors opened. Kashara stepped out into a corridor unlike anything she had ever seen. Dark wood floors, floor-to-ceiling windows with a view of the entire city. Art on the walls that probably cost more than her annual salary. And at the end of the hallway, a single door. A woman in a sleek gray suit was waiting for her. "Miss Whitmore," she said. Her English was perfect. "CEO Shin is expecting you. Please, follow me." Kashara followed. Each step felt heavier than the last. The woman opened the door, and Kashara walked through. The office was massive, but strangely, it felt empty. A large desk near the windows, a seating area with leather couches, bookshelves lined with volumes in Korean, English and French. Kashara waited. The silence stretched. Finally, he spoke. Miss Whitmore. His voice was low, measured, like every word was carefully chosen. Thank you for coming on such short notice. He turned. Kashara had seen photographs of Shin Tae-jun before, magazine covers, news articles. But photographs didn't do him justice. He was tall, over 6 feet, sharp jawline, dark eyes that seemed to see everything. He wore a black suit. There was something almost predatory about the way he stood, still, watchful, like a tiger deciding whether to strike. Please, he said, sit. He gestured to the leather couch. Kashara sat. She crossed her legs. She kept her expression neutral. She would not let him see that she was nervous. Shin Tae-jun sat across from her. He studied her for a moment. Then he said something that made her freeze. I know about Brandon Hayes. Kashara's heart stopped. Excuse me? Your fiancé, Tae-jun said. His tone was casual, almost bored. Or should I say, your former fiancé. Kashara's mind raced. How did he know? She had only found out yesterday. She hadn't told anyone. She hadn't even confronted Brandon. How? She started. But Tae-jun raised a hand. Brandon Hayes works for my company, he said. Did you think I wouldn't know what my employees are doing? Especially when one of them is about to cause a scandal? Kashara's eyes narrowed. A scandal? Tae-jun leaned back. The woman he's been seeing, he said. Her name is Yoon Seo-yeon. She's the daughter of a very influential politician. A politician who is currently in negotiations with Hanul Corporation. If it becomes public that Hayes impregnated his daughter while engaged to another woman, he paused. It could damage a deal worth billions. Kashara processed this information slowly. So that was it. This wasn't about her. This was about business, about money, about protecting the Hanul name. Why are you telling me this? She asked. What do you want from me? Tae-jun smiled. It wasn't a warm smile. I want to offer you a proposition, he said. I'm listening. Brandon Hayes has become a liability, Tae-jun continued. But I can't fire him without cause, not without alerting Assemblyman Yoon. However, if his engagement falls apart publicly, if he's seen as the villain, then his departure becomes expected, even sympathetic. Kasher understood. You want me to expose him. No, Tae-jun said. I want you to destroy him. And I want you to do it, as my wife. The words hung in the air. Kashara stared at him. You're what? Tae-jun didn't blink. I'm proposing a contract marriage, he said. 6 months, perhaps a year. You marry me. We present a united front. The narrative becomes clear. Brandon Hayes cheated on a woman, who then married the most powerful man in Seoul. He becomes the fool, you become the victor. And Hanul Corporation avoids a political disaster. Kashara couldn't believe what she was hearing. You want me to marry you. For revenge. For mutual benefit, Tae-jun corrected. Revenge is simply a bonus. Oh, she shook her head. This is insane. Is it? Tae-jun asked. He leaned forward. What are your options, Miss Whitmore? Go back to America, humiliated, defeated? Stay in Seoul and watch Brandon marry another woman while you fade into obscurity? Or, he paused, or you can stand next to me. You can watch him realize what he lost. You can make every person who ever doubted you choke on their assumptions. Kashara felt something stir inside her, something dark, something that had been dormant for years. What do you get out of this? She asked. Why me? Tae-jun was quiet for a moment. I need a wife, he said finally. My board has been pressuring me to settle down, to appear stable. But I have no interest in romance, no interest in emotional entanglements. You are intelligent, composed. You understand business. And after what Brandon did to you, I know you won't develop inconvenient feelings. Inconvenient feelings. He said it like love was a disease. So this would be purely transactional, Kashera said. Entirely, Taijun confirmed. We would have a contract, clear terms, clear boundaries. At the end, you walk away with enough money to start whatever life you want, and I continue running my empire, without interference. Kashara stood up. She walked to the window. The city stretched out below her, endless, glittering, full of possibility. She thought about Brandon, about the photos, about the text messages. I'll handle Kashara. Handle her, like she was nothing. She turned back to Taijun. I have conditions, she said. He raised an eyebrow. Go on. First, I want full access to Brandon's personnel file. I want to know everything about his relationship with Yoon Seo-yeon, every detail. Taijun nodded slowly. That can be arranged. Second, I want a position at Hanul, a real one, not some token title. I want to work. You'll be senior consultant to the International Partnerships Division, he said without hesitation, reporting directly to me. Kashara paused. He had already planned this. He had already anticipated her demands. Third, she said, I want Brandon to find out about our marriage at the worst possible moment for him. I don't just want revenge. I want him to suffer. Taejun's smile returned. This time, it was almost genuine. Miss Whitmore, he said, I think we're going to work very well together. The contract was signed that evening. 15 pages of legal language, terms, conditions, boundaries, financial arrangements. Kashara read every word. She negotiated 3 clauses. Taijun agreed to all of them. When it was done, she looked at him across the table. So what happens now? Now, Taejun said, we prepare. The wedding will be in 2 weeks. Small, private, but newsworthy enough to reach the right ears. In the meantime, you'll move into the east wing of my residence. We need to be seen together, to establish the story. Kashara nodded. This was really happening. She was going to marry a man she had just met. A man who looked at her like she was a business asset. A man who had no interest in love. But that was fine, because neither did she. Not anymore. That night, Kashara returned to the apartment she had shared with Brandon. She packed her things efficiently. Clothes, books, personal items. She left behind everything he had given her. The jewelry, the photographs, the life she thought she was building. As she was finishing, her phone buzzed. A new email from Brandon's work account. The subject line read, I don't know what's happening, but please talk to me. Kashara smiled. She typed a single response. You'll find out soon enough. Then she blocked that email too. A black car was waiting outside the building. The driver opened the door for her. Mrs. Shin, he said. The title felt strange, foreign, but also powerful. Kashara slid into the back seat. The car pulled away from the curb, away from her old life, towards something entirely new. The Shin family residence was not a house. It was an estate, hidden behind walls in one of Seoul's most exclusive neighborhoods. Traditional Korean architecture, modernized, expanded, perfected. Gardens that seemed to go on forever. Staff that moved silently through the halls. Kashara shone to the east wing. Her quarters included a bedroom, a sitting room, a private bathroom, and a closet larger than her old apartment. CEO Shin will join you for breakfast tomorrow, the housekeeper said. Please let me know if you need anything. Then she was gone. Kashara stood in the middle of the room, alone, in a stranger's house, about to become a stranger's wife. She walked to the window. The garden was lit with soft lanterns. Somewhere in the distance, she could hear water flowing. What am I doing? The question surfaced before she could stop it. But then she remembered Brandon's face, his lies, his betrayal, and the answer became clear. She was taking back her power. She was refusing to be a victim. And she was going to make them all regret underestimating her. Kashara Whitmore had been thrown away, but she would not break. She would rise. And when she was done, Seoul would never forget her name. 2 weeks passed like a fever dream. Dress fittings, document signings, strategy meetings that felt more like war councils. Kashara barely had time to breathe, but she didn't need rest. She needed purpose, and for the first time in months, she had one. The wedding was scheduled for a Saturday evening. Small, as Taijun had promised, but carefully curated. Every guest was selected for maximum impact. Business leaders, politicians, journalists from outlets that would spread the news quickly and widely. Kashara spent the morning alone. She didn't have family in Seoul. She didn't have bridesmaids. She didn't have anyone to hold her hand and tell her everything would be okay. But she didn't need that. She had herself. And that was enough. The dress was simple, elegant, white silk, clean lines, a silhouette that made her look like a queen. No veil. She wanted her face visible. She wanted everyone to see her eyes. When she looked in the mirror, she didn't see a bride. She saw a warrior. At 6 o'clock, a knock came at her door. "It's time," the assistant said. Kashara took one last breath, then she walked out. The ceremony was held in the main hall of the estate. Candles everywhere, white flowers, a string quartet playing something soft and classical. The guests were already seated, whispering among themselves, wondering who this mysterious woman was. And then the doors opened, and Kashara walked in. Every head turned, every whisper stopped. The only sound was her heels against the marble floor. At the end of the aisle, Taijun was waiting. He wore a black suit, no expression on his face. Kashara reached him. They stood facing each other. The officiant began to speak. The vows were simple, traditional. Neither of them had written personal statements. This wasn't that kind of wedding. But when the officiant asked if they would take each other, Kashara's voice didn't waver. "I do." Taijun's response was equally steady. "I do." And then it was done. They were married, husband and wife, bound by paper, by strategy, by mutual ambition. The reception was brief. Champagne, congratulations, business cards exchanged like currency. Kashara smiled. She shook hands. She played the role perfectly. But inside, she was counting down to the moment that really mattered. It came at exactly 8:45. The doors to the reception hall opened, and Brandon Hayes walked in. He hadn't been invited. Of course he hadn't, but Taijun had made sure he would find out. A carefully leaked detail, a whisper to the right person, the kind of manipulation that Kashara was beginning to understand and appreciate. Brandon stood in the doorway, frozen. His face was pale. His eyes were wide. He looked like a man who had just seen a ghost. Kashara saw him immediately. She had been waiting for this, dreaming of this. She turned to Taijun. "My former fiancé is here," she said calmly. Taijun glanced toward the door. "So he is. Shall I have him removed?" Kashara smiled. "Not yet. Let him watch for a moment." She turned back to the crowd. She laughed at something a guest said. She leaned slightly toward Taejun, close enough to suggest intimacy. She was performing, and she was brilliant. Brandon started moving toward her. His steps were unsteady. His breathing was rapid. "Kashara," he said when he reached her. His voice cracked. What is this?" Kashara turned to face him. Her expression was pleasant, polite, like she was greeting a distant acquaintance. "Brandon," she said. "What a surprise. I didn't expect to see you here." "What are you doing?" he demanded. You're married? To him?" He pointed at Taijun like an accusation. Taijun stepped forward. His presence was immediate, commanding. Brandon actually took a step back. "Mr. Hayes," Taejun said. His voice was ice. "You weren't invited to this event. I suggest you leave before you embarrass yourself further." "I need to talk to her," Brandon insisted. "Kashara, please, you don't understand." "I understand perfectly," Kashara interrupted. Her voice was calm. So calm it was almost frightening. I understand that 3 days before our wedding, you were planning to handle me. I understand that you got another woman pregnant. I understand that you thought I would never find out. She paused. But you miscalculated, Brandon. You forgot who I am. Brandon's face went from pale to red. Who told you? How did you? It doesn't matter how I found out, Kashara said. What matters is what I did with that information. She gestured to Tai-jun, to the ring on her finger, to the entire glittering reception around them. I moved on. I moved up. And you? She looked him up and down. You're going to have to live with that. The guests were watching now, whispers spreading like wildfire, phones discreetly recording. This was exactly what Tai-jun had planned. Maximum exposure, maximum humiliation. Psst. Brandon's hands were shaking. You can't do this, he said. You can't just replace me. We were supposed to get married. We had a life together. Kashara tilted her head. Did we? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you had a life with someone else. I was just the backup plan you hadn't gotten around to discarding. Brandon opened his mouth, then closed it. He had nothing to say. No defense, no excuse. Tai-jun raised a hand. 2 security guards appeared immediately. Please escort Mr. Hayes out, he said, and make sure he doesn't return. Brandon was led away. He looked over his shoulder once, twice. His eyes locked on Kashara, but she didn't look back. She was already turning away, already moving forward. Already leaving him behind. When he was gone, Tai-jun leaned close. That was impressive, he murmured. Kashara allowed herself a small smile. I told you, she said. I wanted him to suffer. The reception continued, but everything had changed. The whispers now had a different tone. Who is she? Did you see how she handled him? She married Shin Tai-jun after her fiancé cheated on her? She's incredible. Kashara heard the whispers, and for the first time in weeks, she felt something like satisfaction. That night, the newlyweds returned to the estate. They walked through the gardens in silence. The air was cool. The moon was bright. Finally, Tai-jun spoke. You performed well tonight. Thank you, Kashara said. But I wasn't performing. Not entirely. Tai-jun glanced at her. What do you mean? Kashara stopped walking. She turned to face him. I meant every word I said to Brandon. He did miscalculate. He did underestimate me. And I am better off without him. She paused. This marriage may be a contract, but my feelings about what happened, those are real. Tai-jun studied her for a long moment. His expression was unreadable. You're more interesting than I expected, he said finally. Most people in your position would have crumbled. You didn't. I don't crumble, Kashara said. I adapt. Something flickered in Tai-jun's eyes again, that same look from the ceremony, brief, intense, then gone. Get some rest, he said. Tomorrow, we begin the real work. The real work. As it turned out, meant becoming the most talked-about couple in Seoul. Over the following weeks, Kashara and Tai-jun were seen everywhere. Business dinners, charity galas, art exhibitions, cultural events. They arrived together. They sat together. They were photographed together. Every appearance was choreographed. Every gesture was calculated. But something strange began to happen. It started feeling less like performance. At a dinner with Japanese investors, Kashara made a comment that saved a failing negotiation. Tai-jun looked at her afterward with something that might have been respect. At a gallery opening, Kashara got into a debate with a curator about contemporary African-American art. Tai-jun stood nearby, listening, a faint smile on his lips. At a charity auction, they bid against each other for a painting, each raising the price out of sheer stubbornness. Tai-jun won, but he had the painting delivered to her quarters the next morning. No note, just the painting. Kashara didn't know what to make of it, of him, of any of this. She had expected coldness, distance, a purely transactional relationship, and in many ways, it was. They didn't share a bedroom. They didn't share their pasts. They didn't share anything beyond what the contract required. But sometimes, in quiet moments, she caught him watching her, and she wondered what he was thinking. 1 month into the marriage, the scandal fully erupted. News broke that Brandon Hayes had been having an affair with Yoon Seo-yeon, daughter of Assemblyman Yoon Min-ho. The story spread everywhere: television, newspapers, social media. Brandon was fired from Hanul Corporation within days. Performance issues, the official statement said, but everyone knew the truth. Assemblyman Yoon was furious. His deal with Hanul collapsed. His daughter was publicly humiliated, and Brandon, the man at the center of it all, became a pariah. Kashera watched the news coverage from her office at Hanul headquarters. Yes, she had an office now, a real one, senior consultant for international partnerships. She had earned it. Her assistant knocked on the door. Mrs. Shin? Kashera still wasn't used to the name. Yes, there's someone here to see you. She says her name is Yoon Seo-yeon. Kashara's eyes narrowed. This was unexpected. Send her in. The woman who walked through the door was beautiful, elegant, expensively dressed, but her eyes were red, her hands were trembling. She had been crying. Mrs. Shin, Seo-yeon said. Her Korean was formal, her voice was strained. Thank you for seeing me. Kashara gestured to a chair. Please, sit. Seo-yeon sat. She clutched her handbag like a lifeline. I know what you must think of me, she said. The other woman, the homewrecker. But I need you to know, I didn't know about you. Not at first. Kashara said nothing. She just waited. Brandon told me he was single, Seo-yeon continued. He said he had just moved to Seoul, that he was lonely. By the time I found out about your engagement, I was already... She touched her stomach. I was already pregnant. Kashara's expression didn't change. And when you found out, what did he say? Seo-yeon laughed bitterly. He said he would handle it, handle you. He said after the wedding, he would find a way to explain. He made it sound so simple. He was good at that, Kashera said quietly, making complicated things sound simple. Seo-yeon looked up. You're not angry at me. It wasn't a question. No, Kashera said, I'm not. You were deceived, just like I was. The only person who deserves anger is him. Seo-yeon's eyes filled with tears. My father won't speak to me, she said. My friends have abandoned me. The press is calling me terrible things. And Brandon, she shook her head. Brandon disappeared. He left Korea yesterday. He won't answer my calls. Kashara felt something unexpected. Sympathy, not much, but enough. What do you want from me? She asked. Seo-yeon took a shaky breath. I don't know, she admitted. I think I just needed to see you. To apologize. To understand how you came out of this so strong. Kashara was quiet for a moment. Then she stood. She walked to the window. I'm not strong because I don't feel pain, she said. Well, I'm strong because I refuse to let pain define me. Brandon betrayed us both. He used us both. But he's gone now, and we're still here. The question is, what are we going to do with that? Seo-yeon wiped her eyes. I don't know, she whispered. Kashara turned back to her. Figure it out, she said. You have a child coming. You have a future to build. Don't let one man's weakness destroy everything you could become. It was harsh, but it was also true, and Seo-yeon seemed to understand. She stood. She bowed slightly. Thank you, Mrs. Shin. I won't forget this. Then she left. Kashara stood alone in her office. She thought about everything that had happened. The betrayal, the marriage, the revenge. And now, this. A woman she should have hated, asking for guidance. Life was strange. That evening, Kashara returned to the estate earlier than usual. She found Tai-jun in his study, surrounded by documents. "You're home early," he said without looking up. "I had an interesting visitor today," she replied. She told him about Seo-yeon, about their conversation, about what she had said. When she finished, Tai-jun set down his pen. He looked at her with an expression she couldn't quite read. "You could have been cruel," he said. "You would have been justified. But you weren't." "What would cruelty have accomplished?" Kashara asked. "She's already suffering. And she's carrying a child who had no choice in any of this." Tai-jun nodded slowly. "You continue to surprise me." Something shifted in the air between them. Kashara felt it, a tension that hadn't been there before, or maybe a tension that had always been there, but was now impossible to ignore. "Tae-jun," she said. It was the first time she had used his name so casually. "What is this? Between us? What are we actually doing?" But it was something. A beginning. A possibility. A door that neither of them had expected to open. Kashara smiled. "Together," she repeated. Outside, the city of Seoul glittered in the darkness, a city of secrets, of ambition, of second chances. Kashara had come here for love and found betrayal. She had married for revenge and found something else, something she couldn't name yet, something that scared her and thrilled her in equal measure. But she wasn't running. She wasn't hiding. She was standing tall, eyes in a life she had rebuilt from the ashes, with a man who was just as complicated as she was. And whatever came next, she would face it. Head held high, heart wide open, ready for anything. Because Kashara Whitmore did not break, she rose, and Seoul would remember her name for a very long time.